Hey, everybody, welcome back. Craig Schaub here with Bob Garver, our New York City film critic. Bob is back after a nice vacation, and we are glad you are because we have a lot to get to today. How are you doing today, Bob?
I'm doing great. Got to meet my new niece, Hazel, for the first time.
Fantastic. Well, we're glad you're back, and we're glad you had a chance to watch some movies over the last few weeks. We are going to get to, I believe, 8 films today. The first one is A Working Man. You know, Bob, it wouldn't be a spring or summer, late summer release if it wasn't a Jason Statham movie coming out. And 2025 will grant us our wish here with A Working Man. Tell us about the film.
Well, yeah, Statham stars as a uh, soldier with PTSD who has tried to settle down into a nice construction job, but trouble seems to find him wherever he goes, and his boss's daughter gets kidnapped, and he has to go fight his way up and down a Russian crime syndicate to get her back. This movie is basically indistinguishable from last year's The Beekeeper. With Statham having this violent past and him trying to move on from it, but all the crime stuff just keeps pulling him back in. Um, I guess kind of the difference is last year he had to fight his way up a crime syndicate. Um, this time he has to fight his way up and down because the people that have kidnapped the daughter are actually these really low level operators, uh, but he can't get to them without finding the leaders who have information about them. uh, so I guess that's kind of an interesting element. Otherwise this movie is a real mess, and it involves a deus ex machina involving the daughter having a bunch of hidden fighting skills that we don't find out about until the very last act. But
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like another, Jason Statham movie. What's your final grade for A Working Man?
C minus.
Okay. Well, I did notice a fun little asterisk, maybe, is Sylvester Stallone among the screenwriters credited for this work. So there you go. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't know why he couldn't have been in this. He could have easily taken the place of a character played by David Harbour, I think.
okay.
Um, but yeah, didn't care for this one.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on, another movie that you saw was Death of a Unicorn. This comes from A24, a studio that is, sort of known for being a little quirky at times with their plots and their movies, which is not a bad thing in this day and age when we're sequeled and prequel to death. Here we have Death of a Unicorn, obviously taking advantage here of the rising Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd also in this. Tell us a little bit about this film.
Yeah, Rudd and Ortega play this father and daughter who go to spend the weekend with his mysterious and eccentric boss, played by Richard E. Grant. Stay at his huge estate and nature preserve, which she's not fooled by. She realizes that he's only a philanthropist to alleviate guilt for all the damage he does to the world. And on their way into the estate, they strike and kill a unicorn, or well, they strike a unicorn that later dies. And the Richard E. Grant's family figures out that the unicorn can be harvested for medical purposes, and it makes a medical breakthrough for everything from acne treatments to cancer. So it has a lot of great value, but with it also comes revenge from the poor little unicorn's parents,
Okay.
trying to trying to avenge their little baby unicorn. There was a lot of potential to this. I was laughing a lot at the trailers. Kind of, this one's also kind of a mess. I was really trying to like it, but it just kind of loses the plot as far as it becomes actually a pretty standard creature feature after a while. even with an antagonist as bright and interesting as a unicorn, which I believe we saw um, used in the Cabin in the Woods a few years ago as an antagonist, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I
Which
think
this
you're right.
is the movie that could have come from the Unicorn Killer, I guess, in that movie.
All right, a final grade for Death of a Unicorn.
C.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny in places, but it never really comes together as a whole.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on to perhaps one of the bigger surprises of the year, at least at the box office, a Minecraft movie. This movie has probably outdone what Warner Brothers even thought it could do, as it's up over $700 million already worldwide in less than a month into its release. A lot has been made about the screenings of this movie, Bob, where people are hooting and hollering, throwing popcorn and slushies at the screen when this certain scene happens. Were you involved in any of the chicken jockey nonsense that's been going on?
No, you would never know from my screening that sort of nonsense is going on, which is good.
Okay.
Um,
Well, tell us about the Minecraft movie. Obviously another video game turned movie. Super Mario Brothers did really well a few years ago for Universal. Obviously, a Minecraft movie is doing well here for Warner Brothers. Is this worth seeing?
I don't think so. Jack Black plays this kind of burnout guy who gets trapped in Minecraft world, and it leads to Jason Momoa playing this sort of burnout that gets trapped in Minecraft world. Also, these two basically kids. It's an older sister trying to raise a younger brother. They get trapped in with Momoa, and even their real estate agent, played by Danielle Brooks, gets sucked in, and they all have to figure out how to navigate Minecraft world to defeat an evil witch and get out of there. And I'm not a fan of the video game. I will say that. So
Okay.
maybe the fact that I'm coming in without a frame of reference really hurt this movie for me. But I don't think being a fan of the game would have made these jokes funny.
Okay.
And Jack Black and Jason Momoa, especially Black in live action, really has no business carrying a movie in 2025. The special effects don't work for me. I think they're ugly, and even when they're not, the characters are very clearly up against green screens, which is unconvincing and takes me out of the movie. I didn't find a lot to like here, and I gave it a D.
Okay. Yeah. Well, definitely has made some money at the box office, but it kind of continues this run of video game movies not always being so successful. So not a big surprise there. But our next movie is Drop. Tell us about this one.
Okay, Drop stars. I believe her name is Megan Faye, and she plays this woman who goes on a date for the first time in, I think, a double-digit number of years with this gentleman at a very high-rise, very high-class restaurant set at the very top of a building. And the date seems to be going pretty well, but she's getting harassed by airdrops by somebody in the vicinity who has a hitman stationed at her house, who tells her that they will kill her sister and young son if she doesn't kill her date for reasons that they won't go into. But this is a nice taut thriller for a while.
Okay.
It's funny, it's suspenseful. Even the dramatic conversations are working. So I was really digging this, but eventually, the veil has to come off the villain, and once it does that, the movie's a total mess. And I ultimately gave it a B minus. It didn't ruin the movie for me, but it came very close to ruining the movie for me. The last act, where it has to drop the restaurant setting and also provide a pretty unconvincing explanation for how how all this has been going on.
Okay. All right. Well, so a mild recommendation then. I take it.
Yeah, very
Okay.
mild.
All right. Well, back to A24. They have Warfare. Alex Garland made Civil War last year. He's back at it here with Warfare, teaming up with Ray Mendoza, an actual Navy SEAL who fought in Iraq, and he is lending his help here as a writer director with Garland on Warfare. Tell us about this one.
Well, this one is a movie about a group of soldiers that spy on a coven. I don't know if that's the right word, of terrorists that eventually fight back against them, and it's just a very at first it's a very nerve-wracking operation, and then it's a very intense operation. And man, this movie hits you with a lot of war violence.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about a movie about Uncut Gems or Anora being able to press my buttons.
Mm-hmm.
This one takes a carnival mallet to the console that the buttons are on and just completely inundates you with intensity. It's hard not to picture. It's hard to imagine anybody not having their nerves completely racked by this. I can't imagine what it's like for real soldiers in situations like these. But I this one gets a B.
Okay.
I feel like I of course recommend it because it's as a tribute to the people involved.
Right.
But yeah, and Alex Garland of course does the war action thing very well.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, our next movie, maybe just in time, even though it's after Easter, but just in time, is The King of Kings. This is an animated feature. Talk a little bit about this one.
Okay, this one stars Kenneth Branagh as Charles Dickens of all people.
Okay.
We're getting a Dickensian version of the Jesus story because he wants to tell his son a story about forgiveness after the son ruins a dramatic reading he does of A Christmas Carol. I think the movie expects him to be way too forgiving of the son. The son just won't behave at this dramatic reading of his and ruins everything, pretending to be King Arthur because he's got an obsession with that. And the movie makes a big deal about Dickens being unreasonable for taking away his toy sword, which I think is perfectly reasonable considering the way the son misuses it.
Right.
But and he doesn't even smash the sword. He just takes it away and gives it back to him like an hour later. But it treats him like he's being really unfair to the son. And then of course the Jesus story is it's done well. Oscar Isaac plays Jesus, and it's told with better animation than I would have expected for a production this small.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an okay movie, except for the unfunny antics of the son and the cat. I'd give this one a C.
Okay. All right. Well, back to the thriller genre. We have Oscar winner Rami Malek starring with Lawrence Fishburne in our next movie, The Amateur. Tell us about The Amateur, Bob.
Well, The Amateur stars Malek as a CIA tech expert whose wife gets killed, not in an operation overseas, but in a terrorist attack overseas.
Okay.
And he wants the blessing of the CIA to go attack the perpetrators of the terrorist attack. They won't let him, so he gets blackmail material on them. So they begrudgingly give him some training at the hands of Lawrence Fishburne, of a veteran agent played by Lawrence Fishburne. And so then he goes on this revenge quest, even though he's being pursued by the people at the CIA, plus Lawrence Fishburne for blackmailing them in the first place, and so he's getting it from all sides is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And but he'll go through bad guys taking style, and he'll have to evade the good guys because he doesn't want to kill the good guys, but or the CIA guys. I'm not gonna call them good guys, but yeah. And it's going pretty well for a while, actually. Maybe not exceptionally different than most of the other similar revenge thrillers like it. And then it has kind of a weak ending.
Okay. Final grade for The Amateur?
I wasn't digging it, so was C. I was digging some of it, but it lost momentum, and
Okay.
by the end it's at C level.
All right. Well, our last movie is maybe one of the biggest releases, or at least most anticipated releases of the spring. Sinners. This is from Ryan Coogler. Of course, Coogler, probably best known for directing the Black Panther movie, the first one, and also Creed. So he's able to take his big paychecks maybe from doing the comic book and IP movies, and now gets to make an original movie with Sinners, teaming up once again with Michael B. Jordan. Bob, I've heard a lot of good things about this. I've heard a lot's going on in it. So let's talk. What did you think of Sinners?
Sinners is quite possibly the best movie so far this year. It stars frequent Coogler collaborator Michael B. Jordan as a pair of twins.
Mm-hmm.
They're wannabe gangsters in 1930s Mississippi who open a juke joint, and they invite their cousin to play guitar, and he plays guitar so well that it draws in some unwelcome guests, some of whom they'd probably be honored to have if they realized that they were in the building. But it attracts other visitors that aren't so welcome, especially Jack O'Connell as some sort of supernatural being that just ruins the night for everybody. But the Jack O'Connell character really steals the second half of the movie as the villain. But even before that, even in the setup, you've got some great stuff with Michael B. Jordan as these twins. Two distinct characters that make for one really great performance.
Well, and obviously, vampires exist in this world. I don't think it's a spoiler. I think people know by now, even from watching the trailers, there's some supernatural feelings in this, and I think it's probably important to talk about that. Talk about this movie sort of melding genres with deeper themes and theories, and everything that goes on with maybe movies that are a little bit better than just the genre itself. We're talking about a vampire action movie.
Yeah, a lot of shades of From Dusk Till Dawn here, where it starts as one genre and it goes like halfway through the movie without doing the vampires, and then when the vampires show up, then it becomes a completely different movie. But both halves are special in their own way.
Well, and it sounds like Sinners worked for you. What's your final grade for the movie?
B. And I would like to say that between this and Warfare, the Oscar race is afoot.
Okay.
For 2025.
Yeah, and very unconventional maybe when you're talking about Sinners, as like we said, it's a genre movie with vampires, and that's usually not something the Academy looks twice at, but here it looks like it's a little bit deeper than that. And I think it's one of the best reviewed movies of the year so far, and it probably will stand the test of time in terms of reviews. It's gotten a lot of great responses. And what do you think maybe the chances are that this movie scores multiple nominations at the end of the year?
Probably pretty good. It's worth mentioning that the another horror movie with a Black Panther connection, Get Out, opened in February of 2017, and it was remembered with several nominations. By the end of the year, 10 months later. This one opened in April. It has a 2-month head start on Get Out. And also Coogler is, somebody well known to Academy voters. I believe he directed both Black Panther and Creed 2 Best Picture nominations.
Sure.
Whereas, Jordan Peele was really off the Academy's radar.
Right. It seems like, obviously this is his first real big blockbuster studio movie that's not an IP movie like, Black Panther, Creed. Obviously, a lot of people might, cinephiles might know him from Fruitvale Station as well.
Which was an original movie, but it's not.
Correct, but not a big studio production like this where, there's a lot of money backing him. But does it seem like maybe Coogler's getting into that territory now where, assuming this movie continues to make some money and hopefully makes money for Warner Brothers and other studios maybe take notice and say, we want to work with Coogler moving forward, is he kind of getting into that, not quite the same box office level as like Nolan and Jordan Peele, but they're in that area now where this is an original filmmaker that is, when he's given his opportunities, he just kind of hits it out of the park. Is he in that kind of category now where you're really starting to...
I'd argue that he was even before this movie, and this is going to, elevate him even more because now we know he doesn't need to rely on IPs as a crutch. Absolutely.
Well, Bob, as always, we appreciate you stopping by. What's coming up on the horizon here? I know there's some big releases on the horizon, but what do you have coming up?
Well, this weekend we've only got The Accountant 2 and Until Dawn, which I don't have particularly high hopes for either of those. Maybe it might surprise me, who knows. But then the week after that, Thunderbolts.
Yes, Marvel getting back into the theatrical game here.
Yeah, MCU trying to have another hit, this time in the usual early May spot that usually results in their biggest hit of the year.
Although this year could be Fantastic Four in July. I think they're at least they're hoping, I would imagine.
That's true. That Fantastic Four movie, and you've seen the trailer. It looks good. It's got that nice...
It looks like a nice little 60s space race. I'm excited for it, but I'm also tempered expectation, Bob, because we know the previous forays, even though they're different, into the Fantastic Four IP has not been... They've been less than stellar. Let's put it that way.
My gosh!
They've been bad. And then, of course, Josh Trank. There was a lot of excitement for Josh Trank when he made his, but that one also fell extremely flat.
Yeah, people are still saying that Roger Corman had the best version.
Yeah. So there's a lot of high hopes for Fantastic Four. It does look. I'm really excited that they're giving this like 1960s vibe, and I know it's been, the director described it as sort of a space race, if you will, and I'm very excited about it. But I know Marvel probably is, and they're finally getting a chance to take the Marvel MCU spin on it as opposed to the Fox. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, Thunderbolts is also another movie that people are excited about. So. We'll probably skip next week and load up on Thunderbolts as well and go that week after.
Sure thing.
All right. Sounds great, Bob. As always, we appreciate you stopping by. We hope you have fun at the movies this week.
Thank you very much. And this show is the highlight of my week.